Hello, everybody, and thank you for stopping back in to listen to episode 4. Today's episode is all about my children. Just to introduce you to my children. Before we get started, I actually had a pretty decent night. I woke up a little bit early from being a little dizzy, but other than that, it wasn't too bad. I got pretty good sleep, which is unusual for me, so I'm grateful for that. Um, one of the things that I asked my doctor when I got diagnosed with this, I asked him, I said, is this going to be painful? And his reply to me was that I wouldn't even feel it until the very end because there's not a whole lot of nerves in your brain for pain. And I'm not going to have any pain from brain cancer until it grows large enough to start affecting my dura, which is the membrane that surrounds in between the brain and the skull. So at least I'm thankful for that. Right now, the only challenges that I've had are the meds that they're giving me that's kind of lowering the quality of my life. And not just the meds, but the mental aspect of it. So yeah, it's been a challenge either way. But I want to start this episode off talking about my children, and I'll go from oldest to youngest. Um, the oldest is 28. Her name is Michaela. She was my stepdaughter from my first marriage. But I pretty much raised her from the time she was 3 until she was grown. And, obviously she's still my daughter. I treat her like she's my daughter. I don't look at her as a stepdaughter. I look at her as my daughter. And actually, when she was 23 for Christmas that year, she gave me for Christmas, she wanted me to adopt her. And of course, that was an emotional ride for me. And it yeah, it makes you really think she's a pretty awesome person. She has 4 children of her own, so I have four grandkids, and her kids are pretty awesome. Um, I feel for her because most of all of her kids are smaller, and they're kind of close in age. So being a mom with 4 young children that are all little, it takes a toll, and I don't want to be in that position. I would hate to be in that position. So, um, but she does a pretty good job. I'm pretty amazed at her most of the time. Um, Michaela, growing up, she was pretty quiet. Um, she was a pretty good kid. We really didn't have any problems. Uh, she did all kinds of stuff. She, did some cheerleading and played some soccer, and she had a lot of friends. She was, you know, did all the cool stuff. And yeah, I really enjoy the fact that she's in my life. I love her to death. I'm very proud of her. And most of the stuff on here when I'm talking about people too is I want them to know how I feel so that there are no words left unspoken. And they can go back and hear this and remember me fondly. Um, yeah, that's my daughter Michaela. My uh, next child is Talon. She's my uh, youngest kid from my first marriage, and she's a pretty awesome person too. She's had some health issues herself, and she was pretty active when she was young, and played softball and did some cheerleading, played volleyball. Um, she's kind of quiet as well, and is a pretty decent human. She does not have any children, but she works really hard. I think she's focusing more on her career at this point than having kids, and that's fine. That's cool. She's super hard worker. She's on her own. She's 23, and I really appreciate her. We had some. So when she was little, both my daughters, Michaela and Talon, I was deployed for the Army for quite a long time when they were really little. So Michaela at that time was old enough to know me and know what was going on and everything when I was deployed. So I'm sure it affected her some, but it didn't affect her as much as Talon because she was really young when I got deployed and was several years older when I got back home. So it took me quite a long time to try to reestablish that bond. I remember when I got back home from my deployment, I'd been home for about 3 or 4 days, and my her mom needed me to go to the store to grab some stuff. And I went out and I jumped in my car, and just as I was about to close my car door, I heard the chain link fence rattle from up by the back door, by the driveway there. And I looked out, and she was like clinging to the chain link fence with her hands up and looking at me with this sad look on her face. And I said, "What's up? What's up, baby?" And she just looked at me and said, "Are you leaving us again?" And I remember um, loading her up in the car so she could go to the store with me. And it was pretty emotional for me to hear that. Um, Even thinking about it now, years later, lets me know what kind of struggles and challenges they had to deal with when I was gone. Um, when Tay was a teenager, we had some differences of opinions, and kind of fell apart a little bit for a while. Um, Over the last few years, we have um, been doing a lot better. We've kept in contact a little bit, although admittedly, I'm horrible with communication. All of my family and friends will tell you the same thing. It's most of the time, uh, it's my family or friends contacting me. Every once in a while I'll be the one contacting, but it's definitely not an equal share, and I feel bad about that too. So, family and friends, if you're listening, I apologize about that. It's just how my brain works. Nothing. It's not that I don't like you. I'm sure that a lot more people have that problem. So that is what it is, I guess. But that's my daughter Talon. The next child on the list, and Talon, I am proud of you as well, and I love you um very much. The next kid on the list is Braden. That is my girlfriend's oldest son, and I have had the privilege of watching him grow up from. Uh, he wasn't really a little kid when I met him. He was about 10, so um, he was already established pretty much with his stuff. I remember one of the first things that I did when I first started dating their mom. I didn't want to meet the children for months until we were into the relationship, just because I know how detrimental it can be when you're dating somebody, and then now you involve the kids early on, and what if it doesn't, what if it doesn't materialize, that relationship doesn't last. Now it's not just affecting two people, it's affecting the kids and everyone else. And oftentimes children don't understand when somebody is no longer there. They think that, was something wrong with me, and I didn't really want that. So I wanted to make sure that I was going to be dating their mom for the long haul before I met them. And by the time that I got to meet her children, or by the time that I met her children, I one of the first, I like to play practical jokes. It's one of the things that I do. I'm a big jokester. Um, and I had these fake uh, werewolf teeth that looked really real. They were the kinds that like snap onto your teeth, and you have to like get the glue and do all the things. It wasn't like some cheap like Halloween teeth that do this. And I remember I was sitting out on their back porch at their mom's house with their mom, and like all day I had like been saying something about, "Man, I just don't feel right. Is it full moon?" And I was like planting that seed, right? Like, so it was one of those things where um it was kind of like building up to the moment. And later on that night I was sitting out on the back porch with their mom, and I kind of like got down on my knees and I was like, and their mom of course was in on it, so she opens up the door and she's like, Braden, come here, something wrong with Joe. And then he came outside, and his little brother Logan, who was I think he was 6 or 7 at this time, he followed his big brother out, and I'm sitting down, and Logan's like, "We need to call 911, Mom. We need to call 911." And I'm like, "No, don't do that. I'll be all right, And I was like playing it off, and then, but I was still down, and I had my arms like this so they couldn't see my face, and the teeth were like the kind of teeth where I had them in my mouth, and I could snap them on my teeth with my tongue. So as they were sitting there, I was like, and I snapped the teeth onto my tongue. Sorry about the yawning. Medicine makes me super tired, so I'm trying not to. But anyways, I snapped the teeth onto my teeth when I had my head down so they couldn't see. And all of a sudden, I popped up and I went like that, and I had the teeth and all the stuff. And I remember her youngest son, Logan, he farts when he gets scared. So he like jumps and he starts farting and running across the room. And her oldest son, Braden, takes like 2 steps back and closes the slider door and locks it to the porch. Totally locked me, his mom, and his little sister out there. So I thought that was funny. And then when I really realized that probably wasn't the smartest thing to do, he wouldn't even look or talk to me for like 2 weeks. And then finally I had to go in and sit down on the side of his bed and have a discussion and tell him I was sorry, and showed him the fake teeth so that he knew that they were fake, and I wasn't really a werewolf coming to eat him. So, and then from then on we had a little bit of better time together, and I remember having bonfires at their house and all that good stuff. And it was about a year after that point when me and their mom decided that we were going to move in together and bought our house that we have now, the house I'm recording in. And Braden, I've watched him blossom into quite an amazing person. When he was little, he was pretty shy, didn't really talk to a lot of people. He is definitely, he's a little bit reserved now, but he's definitely not shy, has no problem with meeting friends and doing things. And he's really into playing music. He sounds amazing on the guitar. He's self-taught, so that's super impressive to me. He's been playing guitar for a little over 2 years now, and I will constantly hear him banging out like rock songs down the hall in his room, and it sounds pretty good. He likes to go skiing and doing all the things. Wants to be a meteorologist when he grows up. And I really hope that he sticks with doing whatever he wants to do. Hell, I'm 45 years old and I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So it's one of those things. But Braden, again, I love you, buddy. I am super proud of you. I know that I'm not your real dad, and I'm not really. I don't want to take that place because your father's still in your life, and I understand how it is to be the dad in a divorce situation. But I really do look at you as a son, and it has been an amazing time to be able to watch you grow thus far. And I really appreciate that. And I really appreciate you. And I hope you know that. The next kid is Logan. And Logan he's the middle child. And a lot of you that are listening, maybe, if anyone is listening to this, they're going to understand what I say what I mean when I say the middle child. He is definitely not shy. He's very outspoken. He is very, very much active and wants to go to all the school games and do all the things. And he plays football, and he's pretty big. His birthday's about to hit here shortly. He's gonna be 14. He's already like 5'9", so he's gonna be tall when he's full grown. Of course, his grandpa is pretty tall. He's like 6'4", and most of the other guys on both sides of his family are 6'3" plus. So yeah, he's gonna be up there. But we had some challenges with Logan when he was younger, probably because of the middle child syndrome. Probably because he was pretty young when his mom and dad went through their divorce, but he was still old enough to see everything and know what was going on, so that had to have been hard. But Logan he's a pretty awesome dude. He's not shy. He's not scared to come up and give you a hug and tell you that he loves you. And again, the same with his brother. I know their real dad is in their life, and I don't want to replace their real dad. I'm a big fan of making sure that their parents are in their lives. I believe that even though their parents are divorced, that it's important that they have both their mom and dad in their life to maintain that bond. And but even with that being said, I still look at Logan as a son, and it has been amazing to be able to watch him grow up. Logan was in that stage where he was old enough to know what was going on, but he was still kind of little, so I really got to watch him blossom a little bit more. He went from being this string beanie kid to being who he is now, and it's amazing to see. And Logan, I appreciate you. I know you're always constantly helping with stuff, and I appreciate that, and I love you, and I hope you know that. I'm pretty sure you do. So, and that leads us to the next kid in line, and that is Aislinn. We call her Crazy Azy. And she was about 3 when I got with her mom. So she was still pretty little. So I've probably, if you ask her, she might have a few memories of when I wasn't there yet, but most of her memories are when I was around. So I got to watch her grow and blossom, and she's doing really good. She does gymnastics and dance, and she likes school, which is good. And she's quick to help out if you need help, and she's mini mom to her brother, and that helps. So if I got to go to the bathroom, or mom's got to go to the bathroom or something, we're in there and she's in there. She's okay to hang out with him for 5 minutes so we can go do our thing. Obviously, we don't make any of the kids watch the baby, just because we don't really need to, but we want them to go be kids. So AZ is a very amazing, awesome person. She has a big heart. She has a lot of empathy, which is very important. She's also probably a little too smart. When I say that, I mean when she was like 6 years old, I remember she came in one day and her mom was sitting there, and she said, "Mom, Logan spilled my bucket." And her mom was like, I should also mention that Miranda's going to school for psychology. She has her bachelor's in psychology. She'll be starting her master's in psychology soon. But her mom was like, what do you mean your bucket? You spill your chalk or something? And she was like, no, my emotional bucket. He spilled it, and he made me sad and angry. And I'm like, there's no way that a 6-year-old should be talking about an emotional bucket, which, you know, that's like something that you would expect from a 30-year-old, not a 60-year-old. So just stuff like that. She's always been, a little bit uh, more of an old soul type person. That 13 going on 30, that sounds about right. She just uh, turned 9, so she's got one more year before she's double digits. And it's been amazing watching her grow up. I remember also when she was little. She's 3 years old, and we were going on a trip or something, and she's carrying this suitcase out. I think she was going to spend the weekend with her grandparents. She's carrying this suitcase out, and she's dragging it upside down. I mean, she's 3, and the suitcase was full. Like, I don't know what she packed, but it was probably every toy she had. And her mom yelled out, "Do you need help?" She's like, here's this little 3-year-old dragging this giant suitcase backwards on the sidewalk, and she's just saying, "I got it, Mom. I got this, Mom." And it was so cute. But that's pretty much easy. She's super independent, and I love her to death. Again, the same thing as her brothers. Her dad is in her life, so I'm not looking to replace her dad. But I do look at her as a daughter, and it has been a pleasure watching her grow up. And she knows that I love her, but AZ, I love you. I appreciate you. And I know that you're going to grow up and be an amazing person. So keep that up. And yeah. That leads me to the youngest, Perrin. He was a surprise baby. My ex-wife couldn't have any more kids because we had 2 ectopic pregnancies. They had to remove both fallopian tubes. So I didn't have to worry about having kids for a long time. Pretty much thought that it was never going to happen. And then after I got with Miranda, I thought to myself, I better schedule a vasectomy. So I hawed around and finally got around to doing it. I scheduled my vasectomy, and it was about 2 weeks away from the surgery, and this little thing called COVID hit. So I get a call from my, the surgeon, and he said, "Hey, we're going to have to postpone this surgery. We're not doing elective surgeries right now because of COVID mandates. So once the COVID thing is settled down, give us a call back and we'll get you rescheduled." And I thought, all right, and I'm sure that a lot of men are going to understand this when I say this. I sat around for a year. I was working every day. I was a power engineer, but I waited for a year because COVID, so I couldn't do it. And then when the year was up, I knew that I needed the vasectomy to make sure I was okay, but it didn't really sound appealing to me, and I kept hearing from other people, "Oh, it hurts, and when they pull the tube out, it's really bad, and you're gonna be sore and bruised and all this stuff," and like really made me kind of worried. Not gonna lie, kind of scared of going in. That's really not an area where I want to have pain. So I I procrastinated on getting that scheduled, and then one day my girlfriend called me, and as soon as I picked up the phone, I could tell she was crying, and I was like, "What's wrong?" And she's like, "I'm pregnant." And I'm like, "What?" She's like, I'm pregnant. And she's the kind of person that has messed with me about this before. Like, she is a practical jokester too sometimes, not nearly to the extent that I am, but she's joked about that specific thing several times just to mess with me. So in my head, I'm like, is she joking with me again about this? But I could also hear her emotional state and the fact that she was crying. So I knew that she was probably serious. So, I asked her, I said, how many, you took a test? And she goes, yes. And I was like, how many did you take? She said, 3. And I said, well, we should probably get you a doctor visit scheduled so that you can go in and talk to the doctor and have a test done there. So we did that. And sure enough, she tested positive for being pregnant. And she was pretty tore up about it because she thought that she was done having kids. And her youngest was 6. So she thought she was done with diapers. She thought she was done with bottles. She thought she was done with all the things that babies bring. And all the things that she was having problems with, I was kind of looking forward to, because when you have older children and you get to that point where you don't think you're going to have any more children, all the times that you don't like while you have children, you miss immensely after your children are gone. So when I heard that, I was kind of excited. And then I told Miranda that it was going to be fine. And, having children later in life is far easier, by the way, than having children at 20. I have a lot more patience. I'm more financially secure. When 20-year-olds have babies, they're still trying to figure out how they're going to get food for the week and pay their bills. Most 20-year-olds, not all, but most. And it just adds a bunch of challenges. So we didn't have those challenges. We also had 2 mentally healthy people, which makes a big difference. So, yeah. Then we found out that I was having a son, which I was super stoked, because even though I have Braden and Logan, who I look to as sons, parents kind of the son that is going to carry the family line on, right? So I was excited with that. And along came Perrin. And I looked at him when he came out in the hospital, and my parents came up to see him in the hospital, both my mom and my dad. Thankfully I got pictures of my dad holding Perrin, and several pictures of that before my dad had passed, so I was super thankful for that. But both my mom and dad instantly said, he is literally your clone. And as he grew, I was looking at my baby pictures, and they were pretty spot on with that. He looks exactly like me, right down to the facial movements. He's got the little curl in his lip, which I don't know if you guys can see this. My mouth curls up. That's not for my brain tumor. My girlfriend assured me that I've been doing this ever since she has known me. That's just how I talk. So, but he has all my things. He has his mom's attitude. I joke with her about that all the time. But he's pretty mellow. He sleeps and he's been doing this since pretty early on. He sleeps about 10 hours a night, and then will also take like a 3-hour nap. He's napping right now. So he's an awesome little dude. Looks just like me. I feel really bad for him, and I'm hopeful that the type of cancer that I have is a low grade glioblastoma, because they're very slow growing, and it will give me more time to be able to spend time with him, and hopefully he'll grow old enough to where he'll remember me when that day comes that I'm probably not going to be around anymore. But I feel bad because my other kids got 20 plus years with me, and my girlfriend's kids, they all know me and have spent a lot of time with me. But Perrin, he's just a little dude. So it makes me feel really bad for him. That's why I mentioned in episode 1 that a large majority of the reasons why I wanted to do these podcasts were more so for him than the other kids. It's not that I love him more. I try to love all of my children and step kids the same. I'm a very stickler for equality for that. I don't want them to feel like it wasn't fair, you know. But I also want my youngest to remember my voice or hear my voice and see some of the things that I think about and be able to reflect back on this stuff so that he can have more videos and pictures and all the things that I wish I had of my dad that I don't. Which is another friendly reminder: take pictures now while you can, because there's going to come a time where you're going to want those pictures. And if you're one of those people that really don't like pictures, uh, I hate to tell you this, but you need to take them anyways, because you want people to remember you and have that. When my dad passed away, I had a very small amount of pictures, and I only had like 2 videos of my dad. So it was hard. I wish I had more. And for that reason, I'm doing this so that they do have more. But even though my son is only 20 months, he's about to hit 20 months. He already is very thoughtful and has a lot of empathy. He'll come and give you hugs, and it's the cutest thing because he'll wrap his arms around you and give this big, huge bear hug. And next thing you know, his hand's doing this or doing this on your back, and it melts your heart. He's a pretty big kid. He was 10 pounds 2 ounces when he was born, and he's pretty much been on the 99th percentile scale since the day he was born. He at 1 year old, he was tall enough to reach door handles, which is not what I wanted as a parent. First and foremost, I really wanted him to stay a little miniature squishy for a while so I could get a chance to enjoy that again. But he decided that he was going to be born a toddler, so that's what we get. He's a big dude. If he continues to grow like he is, he's going to be a big guy. So, but just the things that he does now as a toddler or pre-toddler or whatever you want to call it, lets me know that he's on the right path to be a kind and thoughtful, probably gentle giant type loving person later in life. And I'm super grateful that I had a chance to have another child, even though I was really worried about it because I was older. He was born when I was almost 44, so that's a little bit old to be having kids. But I'm really super thankful that I did, and watching him grow, especially being there every day with him, not having to worry about going to work or doing anything else because I stay at home because of my health issues and stuff now, and I retired early, and it's given me a lot of opportunity to really bond with him and watch him grow through all the stages. So, later on when he's watching this, I hope he knows that I appreciate him. And I love the shit out of him, excuse the language, and I'm sorry that I'm not going to be around. And that's probably the hardest part. I was 44 when my dad passed away. And I am here to tell you that it was really hard. And I can't imagine how much harder it would have been if I would have been younger. So, again, I'm sorry for that, buddy. And I know you're going to grow up to be an awesome person, so remember that. And with that, I think that this is pretty much end this episode. Sorry again for the emotional time, but it is what it is. And I'm pretty sure that everybody needs to see that because we don't show that enough. But yeah, I love each and every one of my children, and I appreciate them. And this is the end of episode 4. Thanks for tuning in.